everybody. Today Roxanne and I are back with another video. Roxanne's information is below. She's with Awakening Education and you can see her detail below. But today we're going to talk about some questions I've kind of been pondering, and then it just kind of leads into other things, as you know if you've seen my videos before. So I want to quickly cover what the topics are we're going to talk about, and how they'll all eventually just kind of blend together. But this will give you a taste of what we're going to discuss. Again, we channel this information through as we have the conversation, so we get additional information. So I had been thinking about, why is it Earth and humankind is special? I've always been told this that by my team, that we're a grand experiment, we're unique and special in the universe, but they bring me information and I offer it, but lots of times I just don't go a lot further because I have to go about my day, right? But I've been thinking about this a lot lately, so I presented that to Roxanne, and that's really how this conversation starts. And then you're going to see how they actually brought me more information that I kind of was ignoring, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need to talk about this, or this is kind of the overarching topic, which is cosmic consciousness. So within this video today, you're going to hear us talk about the grand experiment, humankind, Earth, how we are unique, and I won't give that away. We talk about that. We talk about our DNA and what that, I'll just say, kind of looks like. And we're going to talk about the Greys, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Reptilians. They all show up in this conversation. We're going to also talk about COVID. COVID comes in, and we're going to discuss that, as well as how that relates to DNA and some information that we bring through. We're also talking about the divine feminine energy. This all interrelates, and you'll see how this moves through over the course of the video. We're also going to talk about how our cells work, okay, with all of this shift and change. It's really fascinating, and I love how when I work with somebody else, and it happens with every single person that also does channeling, is I get information, they get information, I get information, and then it all blends together, but we get this greater story, right? When we're together, because we're in this high vibration space when we work together. And so what we're doing today is offering you what happened in that conversation that we recently had. So I'm Carolyn, I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channeled messages for your awakening and ascension journey, hoping that it will help guide you through. Like I always say, take what resonates and toss the rest aside, because not everything's going to necessarily be on point for you individually. So again, take the pieces that resonate. We are here to create the puzzle of our own journey, put the puzzle together of our own journey. So keep that in mind, regardless of whether you work with me individually, you listen to these videos, or you work with somebody else down the road. Whatever you listen to, remember, it's your story you're putting together. It's your journey you're putting together. So below in the description box, you're going to see Roxanne's information, and you're going to see my information, where you can also go and click on a link, and it will take you to a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. But I think more importantly, it takes you to my email list, where weekly, on Fridays typically, I will send out a channeled message from the Light Keepers, who are the group of angelic beings that I originally channel, and I still channel to this day, particularly for the poetic messages. But it's a message of support for you in the week coming up. So my email list is primarily used for this, so you receive a beautiful message each week for support in your awakening, ascension, and your life journey. So join me there too. So just real quickly before I send you over to the video, I just put out a really short video on the new moon and the eclipse, and the eclipse season, which we're starting as of the 25th. This is actually the 26th, so you should have this here in the next day or so. But needless to say, we're in that energy, right? That upliftment energy. And so what's happening is we now are in a season of, they're talking about what no longer serves. So it magnifies, eclipses magnify is what I'm told. Okay, you may have different descriptions for it, but what I get is it magnifies everything. So this is why when I brought through that video the other day about setting an intention with the new moon, it magnifies. Eclipses magnify. So we're in eclipse season, all right, starting out. whether it's solar or lunar. All right, I'm going to try to keep track of those for you, so we're going to have something on each of those eclipses as well. But the big thing I want you to remember is that as we're going through our life journey, what this is doing is the cosmos is assisting us in moving forward, raising our frequency and vibration, and knocking out the things that don't serve us any longer. All right, and so a big part of this journey is walking that parallel pathway with what the cosmos is offering us, what the universe is offering us for the awakening journey, for the consciousness awareness journey. So as we walk what I always call that parallel path, like two friends walking together, right? Two friends walking together, you're interacting. So you're interacting with the cosmos, you're interacting with the eclipse energy. And in doing that, what's happening is you are assisted in your journey. So as you're identifying what doesn't serve you any longer and the things you need to shift and change in your journey, guess what? That energy assists you, all right? That energy assists you and you get to float with that energy. Doesn't mean it's all going to be beautiful and pretty, but as you identify and as you do the things that serve you so that you can become higher vibration and you make those decisions and you change your journey, you shift and change your life journey, guess what? You're buoyant. They just said the word buoyant. You're more buoyant. You get to float along this. Okay, so what they're showing is the sailboat. Is the sailboat, when you're on top of that water, you get this nice wind and you get these nice smooth top of the water gentle movements. But here's the thing. For those of us who, in the collective, and I'm talking in the collective, because I'm kind of preaching to the choir here with respect to, you guys are aware that this happens, right? But what you're going to see in the collective is for people who are turning a blind eye either to the journey they know they're on, because that can happen, right? Or to those who aren't doing, what I will say is not choosing the things that serve them ultimately. And you see that in the chaos that's out there, right? Guess what? There's going to be bumps. It's a parallel pathway, but guess what? It's like a car accident. It's a crash, a car. It's not this nice gentle movement. Now they're giving me traffic, right? This nice gentle movement together. Doesn't mean you're not going to interact, but you're getting supported by this energy. And if you're ignoring the journey, okay? If you're ignoring the journey and the shift and change that's coming your way and you're very aware of it, but you don't do anything about it, it's going to magnify. Everything's going to magnify, all right? So my point in this is, like I said, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but this is a reminder that when things come up to you for awareness, for contemplation, for not just like looking at it and then moving on, but going, okay, why is this here? Why did this happen? Why is this here? Spending the time to go inward and understand what that's telling you. I'll give you a good example. I had a wonderful day on the 25th. I felt so good. It just was like the eclipse energy and the new moon on that peak of that day, right, of yesterday. Oh, it just felt great. But guess what happened? Last night, during the middle of the night, and moons do this for me, I will wake up and I can't fall back to sleep. Oh, but I was filled with anxiety of like 3 different things where I was just like, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about this. And then I did the whole awfulizing thing where I just make it worse. I just create stories, right? I create stories. So today when I woke up, I'm like, okay, I have to understand this. I can't just, as we all often do, just go, oh, well, that was just one of those nights. No, it wasn't. I need to understand, why did I have those 3 things come up that I became super anxious about? I need to understand that so that I can work on either adjusting the energy I put toward it, adjusting the practices I have, like meditation would probably help me more, right? Sometimes I'm not great at meditation. What is it that can assist you in understanding the things that are showing up or making new choices? It's about not ignoring what's in front of us. So I'm going to stop because I could probably keep going, but I just want you to be aware of that. We're going to continue to get things magnified for us, particularly as we go through the rest of this year. And we only got, 2 more months of 2022. And again, like I said, we're stepping up, but now we got eclipse season that's magnifying so much. All right, so enough of that. I hope that's helpful to you understanding kind of where we're at, and then getting some new information as Roxanne and I talk about the topics that I've already mentioned to you. So I will wrap up with you in the end real briefly, but I hope you enjoy this today. Thinking if we wanted to have a topic, one thing that's been rolling in my head for quite some time actually is how they my team consistently brings to me that Earth is the jewel. Humankind is a grand experiment. They use prettier words than this, but grand experiment. They keep going on and on about that we're unique to, and our consciousness raising will affect all of the galactic systems and so I always just kind of take that and go, okay, and I present that to people. But I got thinking, and I've thought about this in the past, but I now really got thinking, since we're going to do a video, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if we explored the idea of, and maybe you have some of this information already just from what you do, but like, what does that mean? Well, how do we contribute to all this? Why is it that we are? I don't understand. I'd love to know why are we the jewel? Why are we the grand experiment? Why do we affect the rest? Our consciousness raising affects so much rest of the cosmos. And they also said to me before I got on with you the words cosmic consciousness. And I'm just kind of, getting ready, and I'm like thinking, what are we going to talk about today? Actually, is that and I kept hearing in the background cosmic consciousness, and I wasn't tuning in. I was just hearing it. And I'm like, oh, cosmic consciousness. So those are two things, whether they're connected or not, I don't know, but
well, I feel like we are pretty special in the universe. Like our DNA, we've got qualities of DNA and genetics that a lot of the other species in the universe don't have. So the Pleiadians are different, the Greys are different, the Andromedans are different, the Syrians are different. They're all different species. So it's like having cats, having dogs, having a donkey, having a horse. Like they're all different species, right? And so for us, I think that it's a express to ascension. It's expressed to soul evolution, this special DNA genetics of the human.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to talk about the soul. So you brought up something that I should have mentioned, because I want to talk about this idea of the soul too. But what I'm getting, and I'm wondering what you get on this, is, so you said there are different races, and a lot of those races, they look very similar, like almost identical, right? Like a lot of those races. What I'm getting is one of the uniquenesses of the human race is our DNA, I don't know, I may be off the charts on this, but our DNA, what I'm getting is that we are a blend of all of them, or many of them. We're not just one. It was like, oh, no wonder they call it the grand experiment too, because
we're like the super soldiers.
Yes, does that make sense? That we're
in a loving way, in a loving way.
Yeah, right, in a loving way. But does that make sense that we are a blended DNA?
Because the human is like, we're the last kids on the block, basically. Like the Andromedans, the Octarians and Pleiadians, Lyrans, they've been around for millions and millions of years, right? And so us being developed is probably a blend of all of creation into one. And that's why
what I'm getting.
All eyes are on Earth at the moment. And we will just mention as well what we were just talking about, the Greys, and why they're so interested in the human, and why there was abductions, and why in the past there was all of this happening, right? And it was because that generation was getting used to be like, samples taken from and looked over, because the Greys didn't have spirituality. They only had technology. They got too technologically advanced in their planets, and the spiritual heart got lost because they kept cloning and cloning and cloning and cloning themselves. That human emotion, that quality that we have, that the spiritual connection to source, dropped dramatically. And
see, that ties to,
yeah,
that really ties to that idea that we've talked about, where you get higher technology as your consciousness raises. Like, it's got to match. You can't.
It's a reward. It's now the rules, the laws of the universe it's a reward. So we don't burn out a species, right?
That's okay. That just came through the other day. I've been talking about that a while in some of my videos. So just wanted to throw that out. Yes, that's so interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So okay, so there's kind of some layers here. So we've just kind of come up with the information. both of us, that we're a blend of all of or many, right? What is, okay, so then my question is, I guess, first of all, why is that a big deal? Is it like they're kind of showing like we're their children? I mean, I know we're them too, but point is the human form is like the child of, like the creation, right? Of, so we're, oh, they keep showing like an incubator, okay? Like they keep, like a baby incubator, like we're, you know, it's a new experiment of this. I don't think this is, doesn't feel like that's ever been done before, that blending.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I believe, and that's why we all always feel like we're not home. There's always somewhere else that we like feel like we've come from. Maybe the Pleiades. A lot of people on the planet feel like they're from the Pleiades, or they're from Sirius, or you know, they've got this I want to go home feeling. And it's potentially because the strands of DNA are being activated of the blend of our human, you know, creation.
Yes.
And I really do believe when not to go down the darker kind of line, but just as an observation, when COVID came out, I got a massive download about how, you know, it could be potentially mucking with the human DNA and the qualities of consciousness within it. And it's not
yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah, and we all know, and if you have, you know, or you haven't gone down that path, that's all good, no judgment. But overarching aerial perspective, it's like, why do they need to get a certain medicine to distort consciousness? It's really a war on consciousness to keep everyone in a low vibration, because the powers that be probably have worked out that we are a blend of everything in the universe, and we're like super soldiers. And if we are all empowered, what does that mean for them?
Yes, yes, exactly. And just not to get hung up on COVID, but what I have gotten from day one with COVID is it was purposeful. It also is actually here to shift and change. So many, it's very multi-layered in how it's shifting and changing, but that it's here to shift and change our human DNA. I don't know if you've received any of that before, but that in each individual, and here's the thing, I know this sounds wild, we're all supposed to be exposed to it. So think about this a second. Think how they tried to shut us down, and so that wouldn't, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the exposure is the idea, not to get sick and die. The virus was to be brought in to be able to shift and change us, crack everything apart, but also to affect our human DNA is what I'm getting. And a lot of people had massive awakenings because of COVID too, but there's a shift and change. It's actually an upgrade. It's that whole idea of what do you want to call it? Evolution, but it's a different way of looking at evolution. It's being able to upgrade our DNA in a way that can affect the whole collective. But we were all supposed to be exposed to it. And so we kind of hose this up a little bit in the sense of we create a vaccine, and then all of a sudden the COVID does this, oh, I got a vaccine I'm dealing with, I need to morph and change. And so it turns into 5 other kinds of things. And so, but the point I've always received is that it was very, very purposeful.
Yeah. And I believe it is too, because it's helped a lot of people wake up as well. But also for the light workers that are conscious of this, when you get sick, you're vulnerable. So when Pete and I got sick with the flu or whatever it was, we were down purging with heat going through our system, like running hot for days. And what it was doing was clearing out density out of our cellular structure and helping clear past life trauma, this lifetime trauma, naturally, because we were laying there and all you could do was roll over and say, sorry, I'm sorry, you know, sorry, divine, help me, because you're so vulnerable. And we're always in our head being strong and I've got this, and in our ego. But the virus really moved us into a divine feminine energy of vulnerability, which is what the planet needs. Like We're too masculine.
Exactly.
We need to go softer,
Oh.
softer.
There
And I
are
don't know about you,
yes.
but when I got sick, I was purging. One day I was in the bath just trying to make myself feel better, and I was bawling and howling a past life trauma through. And it brought up so much for me naturally through the illness.
And see, we understand that because we understand this journey to a good degree, but the average person doesn't have a clue what was going on with them.
But cellular, they're getting the benefit. Cellularly, they're getting the benefit.
They're still doing the same thing. They're just not conscious of the fact they're going through the exact same process, right?
So what I'm getting is that the energy had to clear through a virus for more light and the plasmic light from the solar flares to come in and anchor into the cells, because think about a cell as a brick from an unawakened person. That's what I'm getting. So the virus came along and prepared the cell to clear out and soften it and make it like murky water.
I'm seeing this.
And then
I'm getting more density. It cleared out the density.
Yes. So it could anchor in because the plasma couldn't go into the brick, right? It couldn't get in there.
You got it. You got it. Yes, that's exactly it. Oh my God, this is so good because I've always known this story that it came in to shift and change us, but I never went far enough like you did to actually understand it from that cellular level. That's fascinating.
You think about it. Everyone's been sick. Everyone in the last 2 years.
Oh, some kind of, yes, exactly. And
even
we've all been, I'm going to tell you right now, we've all been exposed. We've all been exposed, or we're going to be all exposed, but we've been exposed. And now, I mean, it's just a matter of how the body accommodated it. Some people's body accommodated and it didn't even do anything to them, right?
Yeah. Well, what it did was it triggered the weaker ones that are on, your pharmaceuticals that are already leaning into that medicine world. That whatever this virus did, it was triggering their weak spots. For people that were awake, it's triggering vulnerability and moving into the divine feminine, I believe, for more light to come in. So you've got two, like you said, the old earth, the new earth. You've got two choices here, like we've all been getting told. You prepare for ascension, or you can stay sitting where you are.
Right. So this does tie, it still does tie to the part of the conversation we were having earlier, which is this is all assisting with growth in consciousness. But I want to go back to that question we just had. And my question added to what we were already talking about is, okay, so why, and I haven't tapped into this, so they'll probably provide something, but why is it that they're all so interested out there in us raising our consciousness? Who cares, right? Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so what does that do? What does that do for the rest of the collective and the cosmos? And so they brought through those words, cosmic consciousness. So I thought, well, is that tied to this? So I kind of thought could we spend a few minutes exploring that?
Yeah. So I feel like, firstly, back in the day when Atlantis and Lemuria were in high frequency, in 5D consciousness, let's call it, it's a high frequency that we're at right now, when they could manipulate energy, they could travel interdimensionally, they could manifest and use hologram technology and crystal technology, right?
Yeah.
So back then, there was a harmonic universe. In our solar system, all of the planets would work in harmony like a symphony. They would share the energy around in a circular motion between all of the planets. So every planet system has like a little neighborhood to support each other, right? So the neighborhood, the community supports each other. And the high priestess and high priest would use their intention and use their gifts to move the energy through the core of the planet around to the sun to get activated and pulsate more energy around Mercury, Pluto, Mars, Saturn, all of them. And we work together in symphony, in like a symphony, like an orchestra. And that then carried out to the Pleiades, the Syrians, and we all started to work like together. But then,
you know what they're showing me?
Yeah.
Real quick, what they're showing me, just kind of as you were starting to, they said the cog in the wheel. It's your cog in the wheel, like the, you've seen the
you're the flat tire. Wear the flat tire on the car.
Exactly. And so right now and I love these metaphors. So like the cog, ours is this like rusty.
We're like,
yes. So the whole of the cosmos cannot operate.
no.
Oh, they just said in its highest potential
Yes.
without us coming along.
I love it. I just dropped in the car tire. One of the car tires, you're broken down the side of the road. So what do? You call your big brother or your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters from the universe to come and help you and be the sky crew while we're down on the ground fixing the tire.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
exactly.
they're here, and that's why they're interested in us. Also, another thing to consider is that they're higher vibrational. So when we move in through this ascension, we move from service to self, where it's all about us and fulfilling our ego, bigger house, bigger car, bigger status and power, greed, into service to others. So they have graduated through these laws of the universe as well. These Pleiadians, Octarians, whoever's around us on ships at the moment, they're here because they want to be of service to others. That's why they're here. So they're trying, they want to help. You graduate and naturally, like we naturally want to help someone at the shop when they can't pay for their groceries. You go, oh my God, I could pay for them. Oh my God, you see someone walking along the road. I always think, oh my God, I should just pick them up and see where they need to go. But it's a little bit unsafe these days to do that. You don't know what that's going to bring. But naturally, I want to try and be of service however I can. Exactly. So those beings are doing the same.
Yep. Now let me take you to another place that we could discuss and see what happens here. So we have that. We have those who are looking to help us forward. However, why is it, as we understand, there are some beings that would not want that and would want to keep us in our place, keep us in a caveman status or whatever you want to call it, or really not allow us to come along so that the whole of the cosmic consciousness can work in unison. And I've never explored that myself. I've always kind of just thrown that out there as a thought, as just shows up. So what's that reasoning? What is there? I mean, we could talk all day long about, well, it's lower energy. They feed off of lower energy. That's how they survive. I don't know. There's something bigger there.
Yeah. So for me, and what my perspective is on the universe and the kind of bit of galactic history, is that the reptilians and the draconians came from another universe. All right. So we're in a universe, Andromeda galaxy, the spiral, and the Milky Way galaxy, the male and masculine aspects. So in all of creation, we have to have balance of male and female aspects. So it shows up in the galaxies in this universe. So the draconians, reptilians, I believe, came in. They were like a problem species from another universe. They got kicked out of the other universe and they got brought into this universe. They got in and they embarked on the Lyran star system, the Lyrans, the feline beings, the cat-like beings. You might have heard the Lyran wars where they slaughtered millions and millions of beautiful 5D conscious feline species beings. And some of us on the planet are Lyran as well, mind you, because we've still got galactic integration to move through. So these draconians and reptilians, in my perspective, have been a problem child for many and many years. And then we have the Orion Wars, right? And now there's been an influence, I believe, of the reptilians and the deep state, the elites, into greed, power, control, right? Because they're not open in the heart. They're more about their ego.
You know what I just heard? Okay, so they're giving me the visuals, and they said because they want to stay small. Okay, so what they're talking, and staying small is that focus on Earth and all the things that are not, like you said, the elite, the things that aren't going on, because they have that under control. They have that, it's a myopic view, they just said. They don't want the grand picture because then they're going to be seen, and they won't be able to have their small world. Like this is real interesting. What they're showing me, I have so many chills. They're showing this being very, they just brought in the metaphor of Gollum. Do you remember when we had the ring?
Yes.
The ring, just my
Yes.
precious is what they're saying.
Yes.
And okay, so they're bringing in my precious, and they're like just wanting to stay small and not be part of that expansiveness, because this is the part they can control. But you know what they're saying to me is that shows the smallness of their power. They really don't have that much power. Oh my gosh. And they're saying they don't really have that much power. This is part of cosmic consciousness expanding and growing, and they want to play small. They keep saying they want to play small.
That's so good, Carolyn.
That's focus good. Just on this here.
It's like, don't watch me doing this bad thing over here in the corner of the universe on the Milky Way spiral. It's like, you know, don't see us.
Yeah.
Because if they did it all around the universe, people would cop onto that, right? And species, souls, the divine would not allow.
Yeah, they're showing this thing of like, yeah, they're showing like, go away.
Yeah.
Let's go away. And it's the golem that's his name, right? Golem, who had the my precious ring.
My precious.
My precious.
Like a sicko.
And everybody that died.
But what I'd like to also just share is I don't feel like there's reptilians, dinosaurs walking around the planet. For anyone going to fear right now, it's important to remember this is influence energetically, in my belief. Yes. I feel like there's trade deals going on for control and the energy flow of it, but there's not like going to be a reptilian or you know.
No, that's what I've received too. Yeah. That's actually our that's how we are literalizing it. Is that a word? Yes. That's how we're taking it and making it very, very literal. Just like the old Earth, new Earth kind of idea, like, oh well, the new Earth's going to show up and we're just going to jump off and say goodbye to everybody. No. It's yes, I agree with you. It's very energetic, and honestly, it's actually it's in many ways very they just said insidious and seductive. The energy they use.
Well,
insidious and seductive and invisible, and so it's an influence, it's an energetic influence.
Yes, and it's, you know what, they've worked out that people can be programmed like a computer. We program a computer to have all these apps on them, right? Or the phone, for example. But they've worked out that the human mind, when programmed, controllable. Right? That's the invisibility, and that's the seductive energy. It's also fed through sexual energy. Remember how we went through a big porn like decade? Like where everyone was into porn. It went from magazines to orgies on screen, and you can access it at any time.
Yes.
It's like that is the lowest energy ever, because it's totally goes against the divine and source creation.
Right.
Manipulating, wanting something outside of yourself, but in a sexual way. So they would feed off that energy.
Yes. This is what is happening. And what they just said to me, wow, God, this is all behind the scenes stuff. It's not in our face. That's why we're kind of blindly walking through our.
It's the illusion. It's the illusion.
We're in this illusion, but what they're doing is they're saying to me, and again, this is not to go into fear, but they can access the subconscious through these things, and we know that, right? Like, I mean, but they're actually accessing the subconscious to reprogram, and that's done in insidious, seductive, and what was the third word they used? Secretive ways,
yes,
right? or invisible ways. Those were the three things they said.
So last night, this really dropped in for me about the programming of a child's brain. So every TV screen must have some sort of technology where you get seduced, let's say, into it, and then whatever the child's watching is being programmed into their soft, delicate mind. Because you got to remember, every single day what we're doing is unprogramming adults from all this shit in their subconscious mind. And the program in the subconscious mind, if negative, travels down the back of the vagus nerve, goes through all the major organs, and that's how we get sick, right? That's how we get root causes in these energy centers and these organs, right? So whatever the person's being programmed, if negative, it's going to have an impact on their field, on their organs, their health, their vibration. And then they getting fed, oh, go over here and just take a pill and it'll be all better, you know? So again, lowering the consciousness of the person. But my poor son, he came in and watched a part of a movie with us last night, and he saw one graphic, and we said, oh, cover your eyes, and okay, you're not want to leave the room, you're not to watch this. Before bed, he said to us, oh, that image is still in my head, Mum, and you know, I'm feeling a little bit scared about that. And I said, well, that's why we're very conscious of what you are watching and what you're being programmed, because your brain is like a soft little sponge, and any imagery or energy goes in at their young development age, because they're like a baby, like an infant. You don't want anything to happen to the baby. We're so delicate, right, us beings. And so I just told him that's why Mummy and Daddy are really setting boundaries around what you're watching on YouTube, because we've taken technology away from Monday to Friday because it was just getting too much. Like, you know, it's like program into their brain. And, you know, it's too much. So this is where the problem lies. Everyone holding a device in their hand, they're programmable constantly.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. And you start to realize it's interesting how, okay, they just said natural gravitation. Okay, so what they're talking about is there is some level of, this is interesting. I actually can use myself as an example. They're talking about natural gravitation away from things that that can affect you. Here's a great example. Me. I have never in my entire life been impacted by, well, never in my entire life. For the most part, I will say, advertising. I don't even know it's there. I don't even realize it's there. Like even in the newspapers, when I was subscribing to a newspaper, I would blow by. There wasn't even, it's almost like my higher self just like made that like an invisible page.
Yeah.
I don't to this day it, so what they were trying to tell me earlier, now they're trying to explain it is, okay, there's a natural, how do I want to say this? There's something within the newer ones that are going to be coming in. Some of us already have some of this where it's a natural deselection. That's what they just said. Natural deselection, like it's just going to blow by you. Like, and my example is a really good one. I was always like, I don't get advertising. I don't know how.
I know why. I just got
like, I didn't.
With their strands of DNA are more elevated. So we came in with dormant DNA. That's why we were programmable. But they're coming in with more strands of DNA online. That's why the energy just
going by them.
Yes.
Going by them is what they're showing me. They're just showing all this like flying by, and they were using me as an example of like how that's, but and I wasn't sure how to frame this up because they were talking about the kids coming in, that they're going to just have this like filter. It's like a filter. It's not even a filter. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, because when I explained it all to Xavier last night, he's like a wise old soul. He knew exactly what I was talking about. And then, you know, I comforted him, of course, and said, there's nothing to be scared of. That's just a program. That's actually not you. No. Like, that's nothing. Right. That's just a silly. And even
that's the thing.
Yeah. Even when I was watching the movie, I'm thinking, why the hell am I watching this? Because I'm just getting fake imagery into my brain. But it was the movie, The Titans, where they modify the DNA actually so that someone can go and live on Saturn. They transfer the person's DNA to condition to the land on Saturn.
That's kind of what we were just talking about.
I know.
It is. That's such an interesting synchronicity to what we're talking about. Yeah, it's well, we could just keep going on that topic. We should maybe we can explore that further sometime. So there's your video today. So check out purplerainhealing.com so you can see what I do and offer for my services to assist you and help you along your awakening and ascension journey. So whether it is a situation where you want some information to help you along where you're currently at, to channel information so you understand kind of why the things are happening in your entirety of your life journey and your soul journey, we offer that. Whether it's a point in time, whether it's a full-on soul journey conversation, I offer those services through the channeling that I do, but I offer you practical information to lead you forward in your journey. And the really cool thing that I have found out over the last few years of working with clients is, as I work with you in this high vibration space that we've opened up to work together, regardless of the session that you have, that energy goes with you. I have seen people shift and change in their journey and gateways open up for them to travel through. It's fascinating. I could spend probably a full video talking about the things that people have experienced since working in that high vibration space. And you take it with you so you can use it in your journey. So that said, check out purplerainhealing.com for all of my services. I would love to work with you, as I have worked with so many of you in the past, and just am so grateful for you guys being part of my tribe. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.